In order to get our network set up for VRRP, we need to make a few changes to the cabling and the topology that we've got set up. We're going to keep the two SRX firewalls that we have and the Windows 10 host. We're just going to change the order of things a little bit. The topology that we're going for is going to look something like this. In this top light blue network, we're going to have our WAN segment and our two SRXs on their outside interfaces. We'll use the 138.247.98.48 subnet that we've used previously. On the internal side of things, being the yellow block here, we're going to use the 192.168.1.0 subnet across all of these hosts. So basically what we need to do is make sure that each of the SRXs have a connection to the LAN segment, and that the Windows host is also connected to that LAN segment. Now the one piece that you're not going to see in the network diagram is this vSphere LAN switch. Basically it's the virtual switch that's backed up by ES6i, and we don't really see that as a separate device, but we can kind of visualize it here with this diagram. So a couple things that we need to do is we can start out by looking at SRX0, and we see that it is connected to the WAN via NIC 0 and the LAN via NIC 1. The SRX number 2 that we've got set up here needs to be changed around a little bit. The only connection that SRX has on NIC 0 is out to the WAN, so we need to go ahead and add a connection to that LAN network as well. So we're going to go to right-click it and hit Properties, jump over to the Hardware tab, and when we scroll down to Networking, we're going to checkmark NIC 1, add that to the LAN network, and we can switch that over to DHCP as well. It really shouldn't matter because we're statically setting those IP addresses within the firewalls anyways, but this should be an okay configuration for us. So we'll hit OK on that, and it'll take just a little bit for that to update. I've run into some problems where it just says could not update, and the fix is typically to shut down that virtual machine, go through that same process, and boot it back up. So if you flip over to the Virtual Machines tab, you'll see that this was busy, and now we got the cannot update. So perfect example, I guess, we'll just quick stop that VM. And as we power this down here, we should be able to make that network change on these. Okay, so the VM's powered off. We're going to do the same thing I just walked through. So Properties, flip to the Hardware tab, and then we'll connect our NIC 1 to the LAN network and set it to DHCP. So now we see the updating. Takes just a minute or two for that to actually go through and add that network into it, but once it's done, we should be good to go there. On Windows 10, I think we should already be set up here, so let's just double check. We have our NIC 0 connected to the LAN, and NIC 1 is connected out to the vCloud Internet. We'll actually go in and disable that, so that was kind of a way for us to get updates or get out to D12 if we need to. But let's actually jump into the Windows 10 machine here quick. And we can just go disable that network interface through Windows. Okay, so as Windows comes up here, go ahead and get logged in. See if that'll work. Alrighty. So just going to open up the network connection. So I usually just go through ncpa.cpl. And it looks like actually our Ethernet is already disabled, so that should be just fine. Let's go back out real quick and just double check to make sure that our SRX was able to get the new network. We didn't get the error message this time, so I'll power that on, make sure it comes up, and if it does, we'll be ready to start configuring VRRP. So as we're bringing that back up, we can check that vApp diagram. We see the new connection there, so we have one to the LAN, one to the WAN as well. We'll call that good, and we can go make the changes that we need to a little bit later on to remap some of our IPs and set up that virtual IP for VRRP.